Hi, everyone. This is Al, W0DRL, in Topeka, Kansas, and it's November 2005. The following are recorded tapes of our 432 QSOs from about 1967 to 1972-73. And I thought this would be of interest to some of you 432 operators. Some of these calls you're going to hear, they're going to be familiar to you, and some of these stations that you're going to hear are silent keys. But what wonderful joy it was to have worked everyone that you're going to hear, and it was a special time, at least for me, during an era of didn't have the technology that we have today, but I thought maybe some of you would be very interested in hearing some of these familiar calls and some of the strength of the signals during tropo, and there's some meteor scatter stuff here on 432 that was quite exciting because, it was kind of a new era for meteor scatter for 432. You're going to hear maybe a little bit of aurora, and perhaps some lightning scatter and aircraft scatter, so on and so forth. We're going to start off here with the first cut was going to be W0DRL in Boyd County, Kentucky, and this QSO with the VQA was September the 19th, 1970, and this is a tape that he recorded of our signal, W0DRL, at his station, W4VQA.
The following is a recording of W0DRL in Topeka, Kansas, as recorded at W4VQA's location in Boyd County, Kentucky on September 19th. This recording was made at approximately 10 o'clock in the morning. Al, listen closely. I think you'll enjoy your signal strength back here.
Headed southeast, and you're really pushing the old meter up there. We got to ask Don, DO, if they made it, he and ORH made it, but I don't think they did. No, I'm pretty sure they did, unless they made it this morning, because I was talking to Don about 3 o'clock in the morning here, and he said that, he said they didn't make it. However, they were hearing each other, I understand, George. But it's just like me and AWU there last night, doggone it. But radar here is just fantastic. I got the blanker and it helped a little bit. When I hear that radar, it's coming up, Wisconsin is still coming out of that area. I can hear that radar when the antenna, I can hear it all the way around. And when that beam hits me, why, it just really blows it to the sky. It's just fantastic.
That was about the morning. Bearing in mind, by the way, now that's float detecting your FM on a 388, so you can see what kind of recovery and what kind of signal you had. Again, Al, thanks for the contact, and hope you enjoyed the tape.
July the 15th and 16th had a tremendous opening, 1969, from Kansas into Canada and eastern New York. And this contact with K2 Charlie Baker Abel, K2 CBA Judd, in eastern New York was 1,185 miles, and which at that time of 69 set a new overland or terrestrial overland record, I guess you call it. And we started out on CW, and then he switched to AM, and I was on FM. I did not have a sideband exciter at that time. But here is the contact with the K2 CBA, July 15th or 16th, 1969.
W0DRL to CCDA Eastern New York, 5 miles from Vermont and Massachusetts.
Think of that, Jed. That's pretty good. Real long haul. And after you signed, why, K2ACQ gave me a call. However, I worked K2ACQ that morning, 7 o'clock in the morning of July the 15th. And he was the only signal on the band with the exception of W9AAG. But we made it there with about S2, S3 signals earlier that same day. So here's some other stations. I'll just let the tape run here, and you may have to turn. I don't know if I won't be able to tape on the other side, so we'll just run out the tape with other signals. In particular, VE3DKW, I want you to hear him. We worked him, but later I made a recording of him calling CQ, and it was just fabulous. Well, 73s, and I'll run the tape out with other signals here. So here we go.
Okay, coming up next is, well, first of all, I want to say that VE3DKW contact earlier we had with him. It wasn't quite as strong as it was when I heard him calling CQ. That was a little bit later in the morning of July the 15th, 1969. But what a tremendous opening that was in July of 1969. A tremendous duck that a waveguide, just practically a direct connection from Kansas on into Canada and eastern New York. And of course, if other stations had been on the air, I'm sure they would have had extended on up into New England at that time. Coming up next is a QSO with Stan, W0IT in Watertown, South Dakota. A wonderful QSO with Stan. And I think it was in the same time period. I don't have the particular date down on this QSO, but it was probably July the 15th or 16th, later, maybe one evening, maybe the night before the big opening. I don't know. Anyway, here's this QSO with W0IT.
I'm pretty sure you didn't have the beam up here, but it'll tell you a pretty good copy all the way through. I better say 73 to you, and I'm going to make the call south, and I'll make the call southeast toward Illinois, and I'll also call east here. And then I'm going to have to get out of here and get started getting packed up and ready to go. If it's been a dandy, Al, certainly by far the finest contact I've ever had on 432. And I hope that it might be the beginning of a lot more of them. So down to you for a final. W0DRL, Topeka. W0IT at Watertown, South Dakota clear. And bye for your final, Al. Good luck.
And our next contact is with W5RCI, Rex in Marks, Mississippi, October the 7th, 1968. Here's WA9 NKT, July the 16th, 1969. Now coming up is a contact with George, W9WCD in west of Chicago, DeKalb, Illinois, on July the 16th, 1969. It had some tremendous signals from George over those years. This next segment, I was just tuning up and down the band and July the 16th, 1969, and heard these stations calling CQ, ones that you've heard before, but the band was wide open. Listen.
W8MNT in Saline, Michigan, standing by.
That's DE3DKW again. This K2CBA jet again. Here's an Aurora contact with W0WYZ Ray in Colorado on March 23rd, 1969. And that was W0WYZ And yours truly had a nice Aurora 432 contact there on March the 23rd, 1969. Coming up is a Tropo QSO with Ted W4FJ on October the 7th, 1968. And I noticed that the band was open out into the, let's see now, Ohio area. And I gave Ted a call on the telephone. I said, Ted, we might have something going on here. We've been running some schedules, and this was the result. And by the way, this happens to be my signal at W4FJ. Ted sent this back to me. Our 432 contact, October the 7th, 1968.
Now for your tape. What's going to start will be exactly what I heard when I first turned the recorder on that famous evening when you replied to my rapid, quick 10-second call. Wait, 1. And then comes more of the QSO. Later, not at that signal level, but I'll play everything I have on for your benefit. Wait.
Yeah, that was Ted, W4FJ. We had run a lot of schedules with Ted, W4FJ, particularly on Meteor scatter. We're going to hear some of the Meteor scatter signals that we exchanged back and forth with Ted over the period of 2 or 3 years. Coming up now, I believe, let's see, let me stand by here just a moment. Kind of interesting indeed. Let's see, I'm hoping that we got this recorded. Oh, golly. Well. Okay, we're going to switch now to some Tropo from W9WCD on January of all months. Listen to the signals here on W9WCD sideband. January the 18th, 1969, and we'll listen to some Tropo here.
It is about 225 miles with my 432 megacycle antenna. I do have a 7-foot dish here. in a basement that I've been using with my kilowatt here to keep checking it out. I'll keep talking here all night if I don't watch out. Hey, look for you in 15 or 20 minutes or half an hour and see what else you can drum up this way. Okay, in the 17 states, that's a good deal. I did hear W0DRL 2 times, but he don't hear me out in South Dakota. Doggone, that broke my heart. Let's see where it goes. That could have been state 18. By the way, we got a W4 in Kentucky. That should be state 18 for you and me. There's a station down in Kentucky now. You probably read it in a QSD W4VQA in Kentucky, runs 50 watts. So that's one to look for. And that's the other borrowing state that I haven't worked here. Once I get that one, that'll be my state 18, and then we should be able to come up with 20 states here this coming next summer real easy. 73 I'll see ya. W0DRL, W9WCD DeKalb. I got a nice sideband signal.
Here's a QSO with K9AAJ in Illinois in 1968. .68 on 432, and here's JW5ORH. Hope I can get it going here. Here we go.
W5ORH, Silver Lake, Oklahoma. Yes, sir. You're as good as I've heard you this year, Al. You're louder than the boys down in Dallas. Leroy was speaking, I say. You're up. You're on top of it. Just a little bit. You're sounding good today. Sideband sounds excellent. Very, very, very good indeed. That's the way 432 out of me. W0DRL, Topeka, W5ORH. Sorry, this is Mother Goose.
Okay, coming up now is WA9HUV Norm from Chicago, September of '67. Okay, here is K0DOK, Paul in St. Louis. I believe this was on the same evening that we talked to WA9HUV and W5ORH. This was on a portable location about 35 miles northwest of Topeka. I was operating portable. I don't know if this was during a contest or not. I doubt it. But I just told some of the guys I was going to be out there on portable operation during the weekend. And we worked at WA9HUV in Chicago, W5ORH, Oklahoma, and here's K0 at DOK in St. Louis. Then we're going to hear Jay again, W5ORH, this time on CW. How many of you remember W9AAG? This is Dallas in Illinois, and I think maybe this was in the same time as, maybe out there on that portable location out to 35 miles west of Topeka on September of 67. Dallas, W9AAG. He's one of the first stations I worked out of state back in around 67 or so.
Now, upcoming is some radar at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock in the morning of 9/11/67 on Monday morning at 5 o'clock. This was a radar about S4 coming in out of the north.
I have just recently got back on 432 in let's see, when was it? Probably in 2004, in the fall of 2004. I have not heard any radar during 2004 and up till through November of 2005. Maybe they've taken them out of operation, but that was always an indicator, man, you want to get on 432 when you start hearing this radar swooping in from, well, in this particular case, from the north of Kansas. But it was during these wonderful openings that we had here in 67, 68, 69, and even 70 and 71. You could detect some radar coming in. I'm going to just a minute here. We're going to be back with another contact here with W5BIC. I wonder if you remember who W5BIC was back in the late 60s. Well, W5BIC was J, or W5ORH, but J, that was his call in Texas, I guess. Here's a little excerpt from that. I believe it was him calling CQ.
Now, upcoming at 8 o'clock, had a schedule with W5BIC in northern Texas. This was Jay, and it came off pretty good. We caught him when he was calling CQ about 3 minutes till 8.
Many schedules with W9WCD through a couple winters and summers, spring, and fall. And, of course, George, W9WCD at DeKalb, Illinois, always put in a nice signal. Now, he was well-equipped, a lot of power, good antenna system. I was running around 700 or 800 watts. And 415 Yagis up about 65 feet. And I learned a lot from running these schedules with George. Now, this is back in, 67 and 68, possibly 69. But once you got it established, the signal was there at all times, though weak. But it was pure tropo scatter. And here's a little bit of sample of W9WCD. During the winter months of January, I believe it was, 1968. Well, that's a little sample. A little sample of some of the scatter, tropo scatter. Now, coming up, we have some interesting meteor scatter stuff on 432. W4FJ and I ran a lot of schedules on 432 meteor scatter over at least 2 years, along with others. But I want you to hear what I received from W4FJ on 432 meteor scatter. I believe the complete call, this was in August, probably during the proceeds, 1970. W4FJ meteor scatter received at W0DRL Topeka. Okay, you really had to listen. And, of course, they were all there. And we came close on a lot of occasions, but I think we were too scared to pull the trigger on and say these were contacts. But as we well know, that later on, W0LER and W2AZL made the formal first contact on 432 Meteor scatter. I think it was in 1972 or 71. W2AZL was another fellow that we ran a lot of skids with on Meteor scatter, Carl. A real pioneer, along with W4FJ, along with W9WCD, and all these other guys. I hate to single out anybody as being pioneers, but we've already had a bunch of guys on here that were very instrumental in creating interest in myself to get interested in 432. I gotta say, give you a little background here. I got on 432 approximately 61 or 62, built up a little 6J6 regenerative receiver and self-excited oscillator and little transceiver, I guess you could call it, and a little 16-element collinear array. I built up two of them and gave one of them to a fellow on the other hand so we could play around, see if we could make contact. I don't know if we ever made contact with each other or not here locally. But I kept plowing on here and finally got a little rig on the air, probably 1964, about 5 or 6 watts. And then later on in 66 and 67, started working with some guys. And I think W0EKZ in Belle Plains, Kansas was my first out-of-town contact, as I remember. But out-of-state contact was, as I mentioned earlier, W9AAG, Dallas, and Woodhull, Illinois. Coming up is W2AZL, and this is some more Meteor scatter. I think I'm right on this. May be wrong, but let's give it a try. W2AZL, October the 21st, 1970.
W2AZL, 10-second burst. Received at W0DRL, October the 21st, 1970. Complete call. October the 21st at 5:54 a.m. Central Daylight Time during the supposedly the peak of the Orionage shower.
Brings back a lot of memories. W2AZL being received. That was W2AZL signal at W0DRL, October the 21st, 1970. Complete call, 5:54 a.m. Man, we drank a lot of coffee and lost a lot of sleep, but that was a lot of fun. Coming up now was our 995-mile Tropo QSO. I think I played back earlier Ted's audio tape of W0DRL at his location. Now here's I think we're going to find. And by the way, this QSO with W4FJ in October the 7th, 1968 was most of this was erased, unfortunately. But here's W4FJ tropo signal on October the 7th, 1968 at W0DRL. Well, that didn't last long. That's unfortunate that I had erased the major portion of that tape for by accident, of course. Okay, I found a little bit more of that W4FJ Tropo contact, 995 miles, October the 7th, 1968. Following is the QSO on 432 with W8YIO, a tropo contact. W8YIO being in Manchester, Michigan. And I believe this was around 1970, maybe in November, possibly. Let's listen.
Before I go any farther, you copy the phone, okay? You're about an extra agent here on CW, W0DRL, W8YO. Okay, fine. W0DRL, W8YO. Fine, good evening, Al. Boy, you don't know what you started around here tonight when you started with DEO down there and started calling the CQ this way. I had my 432 Fido completely dismantled, the antenna relay disconnected, all the interconnections were disconnected here, and I got most of it together while through calling your CQ there. Then after I tried it out, then I didn't hear you. I didn't know whether the band would forward up again or what, but you never saw parts and solder flying so fast to your life as what they were doing around here for about 10 minutes. Nothing east. I heard nothing east at all. In fact, the first signal I heard on 432, the only signal I heard was DEO, and then I heard it working you, so I swung the beam around, and there you were. So then UNN, we talked to him. That's the only signals we've heard on the band so far. Incidentally, you might pass along, does K0CLM QSL. I am very anxious for QSL from him, but I don't know whether he QSLs or not. You might pass that along, Al. Back to you. W0DRL, Topeka, W8YIO, Manchester, Michigan.
Okay, coming up, well, you're going to hear W9JIY, WIN, in Indianapolis, and W9NTP, I believe it is, in that same area, Indianapolis area. Don, I believe his name. I believe this was like November the 29th, 1970.
Hold on, and so I tuned it across the band, but of course his signal, his sideband there was 15 KC. I wasn't able to hear anything, and I didn't tune down quite far enough. And I guess so he cut the carrier, and I tuned on down there, and lo and behold, there you were, just banging the old F meter. So condition must be real good here tonight. Well, what was the verdict? W0DRL from W9JIY with W9MTP.
Yeah, that was quite an evening, because Wynn was telling me later. Well, first of all, they have quite a bit of ATV activity in and around Indianapolis, and he was telling me later that he was watching some of the TV that some pictures that Don was sending him, and he started to see some things in his TV. And it was kind of blinking off and on, I believe it was. And he told me he finally figured out it was me. I was creating TVI in Indianapolis on amateur TV. I think we might have him here talking about it. I don't know if we do or not, but let me see if we do.
No, I saw your carrier jiggling W9MTP's picture. I was receiving a picture from W9MTP. We have... around this area here, we operate the same frequency as we do everything else. And on Sunday evenings, we generally get in there and pass around pictures of one another and make faces at each other and all that sort of baloney. And so I was watching down there, and I got to notice on these pictures where they're jiggling over to the side, pulling horizontally, and it looked like it was a rhythm there of code. So that's what the report there, Will. I missed that. He hasn't given out yet there. We were talking about him jiggling the picture, so we'll turn back there to him, Don, and we'll see how it's coming in there now. That's 2 meters of breaking in there every once in a while, Al. So what was the signal look like there, comparison between the carriers after I gave you the carrier? W0DRL, W9MTP from W9JIY. Coming back to a call there, I was afraid for a minute you weren't hearing me or something. You got an awful nice signal here. I'll have to check the S meter on the next go around and give you a report. I heard wind down in Indianapolis Minneapolis with me here, and just got a little of the conversation, but apparently you were listening for him on 1296. I wonder if that's correct. If you have a converter there for 1296. If you have, we got a lot of power here. We'd like to give you a signal. That was the main reason I called you. I heard from some of the other boys that you were into the Chicago area here quite strong today.
Okay, that was W9 NTP Don, and I believe he said later he was only running 3.5 watts. So what a signal! And of course, when you get good conditions and the good ducting like that, and anything goes, I guess. I want to find some more here. Let's see here if we can come up with some more 432 things here. Stand by. Okay, I believe this next signal is WA9 HUV, Norm in Chicago area.
Very nicely. That's the thing to do is get a preamp going, and I wonder what kind of a mixer you got there. I got a preamplifier here now. I'd be willing to let you use for a while if you want to. It's a Fairchild 2500, and it's a real good preamplifier. It has only about 7 dB gain, but it's a beautiful preamp, and I'd be happy to nail it down for you to use for a while to see if we can't make a contact sometime. I'm not using it here. It ain't doing me any good. So I wonder if you'd be interested in something like that. Based on what you can get. But ours is running all the way down, so she's got a power.
Okay, that was Hank, and the other station was WA9 HUV, and Hank W0RL on CW from Minnesota, Minneapolis area, and then I believe we have some other signals here from W3RUE. I'm going to try to get him here on also just a minute. Yeah, coming up, you're going to hear W3RUE when we worked him August 17th, 1971, I believe it was. Signal was pretty weak at that time, but later he was really strong. That's Ted, W3RUE, in Pennsylvania. Worked him on August 17th, 1971. And I think this next segment here is, if I can find it, here we go. Yeah, I think this is Ted again, but a little bit later, W3RUE. Quite a bit stronger. Yeah, that was Ted, W3RUE, our contact, August 17th, 1971. This next segment is a CQ. I heard a K1 calling CQ one morning, and I think it was probably on the, let's see, would this have been August 16th? Can't remember now, but of 1971. August 17th, I guess. And I heard the station calling CQ. It was K1PXE. Listen. And he kept on calling CQ. He had his CQer going, tape, and over and over and over. And I bet I had a heart attack when I tuned into his frequency in Milford, Connecticut on 432, August the 17th, 1971. Anyway, that was his CQ, and in the meantime I had made a contact with W2AZL via sideband, and I told Carl that if he gets hold of K1PXE, tell him to turn that CQ off and listen for me out here in Kansas. And as the result of that, and Carl evidently did get in touch with Pete. This was the I think this was the signal that we heard of our first contact with K1PXE for 1,210 miles. Getting pretty excited there, that's for sure. Anyway, that was our first contact with K1PXE on the morning of August the 17th, 71 at 1,210 miles, and then later I heard PXE calling CQ, and then I want to go to we talked to W8RQI on that morning, and a K8RPL, and then this contact with a W2AZL, I believe, will be coming up here. Just a minute here. Okay, here's the QSO with W2AZL. Trying to get him tuned in here on sideband.
W0DRL, W2AZL. I think Tommy's about ready now, so give him a call right now, Alex.
We're trying to make contact here with a W2UK, and Tommy was having a problem. He was having a problem here. He couldn't hear me, but I could hear him. He was extremely strong out here in Kansas, W2UK. But he found out after about an hour or so that he had a problem with the preamp in his converter. But anyway, we made contact. But here's Tommy's signal, W2UK from New Jersey. After W2AZL was talking to him to let him know that I was hearing him quite well. I guess that's my signal they're feeding through there. Yeah, it is. But there was no Tommy, because Tommy was having difficult. He just wasn't able to read me. So anyway, we'll go back to that in just a little bit here. Okay, that was Carl there. We had 2 or 3 QSOs that morning of August the 17th, 1971. Tremendous signal from here to New Jersey and Connecticut, so on and so forth. So we'll hear some other signals here in just a moment. And here is I was on FM. I had not put my sideband exciter together yet on 432, and here was I was really on FM, and I was running not too much power, and it was very, very simplistic FM. I was modulating I think the screen of the oscillator, if I remember correctly. And this is a contact with W2AZL here. And I stood by for him. And this is what Carl had to say about my FM.
I never thought I'd hear that out of W0DRL. W0DRL on FM. W2AZL. What do you know? Well, that just shows you once you make it, Al, everything else is easy. W0DRL, W2AZL.
Yeah, yeah, that's the truth. All right. What a wonderful gentleman W2AZL was, W2UK. And they're silent keys now, but what a tremendous amount of pioneering they did in the VHF, UHF regions over the years. And let's see if we can come up with some other contacts here on that tremendous opening of August 17th, 1971. We finally made that contact on 432 with W2UK, Tommy. We tried for about an hour, but Tommy bypassed his preamp and went directly into the converter, and he heard me immediately. So we had a wonderful contact with Tommy. I believe we have him here in the background. But what joy it was to have the acquaintance of all of these guys on 432, and it was a joy indeed to share these signals with you that I have accumulated on tape from about 1967 to 19. I don't have any EME contacts in this bunch, but we got on EME about 1973, and we were on there for a couple of years, and then we got off the air off of 432. And just recently got back on. Now I'm recording this in the last part of June of 2006, and so I just wanted to put these all these contacts on one CD. And these are not all the contacts we had, but what joy it was to have QSOs with guys like K0AWU in North Dakota, Bill, W0LER, John in Minneapolis, K8DEO, Don in Ohio, W9ZIH in Illinois, and many others that we W0EYE in Colorado, and there's many more that we're going to forget, of course. But I just wanted to put all this on one CD. If anybody happens to have this CD available to them, I hope that you enjoy, and especially if you're a 432 and enthusiast, I'm sure you will enjoy them all because it's something a little bit different. But we're still looking for that very, very elusive DX contact, maybe going beyond the bounds of this country. I'm talking about terrestrial contact. And who knows what's going to happen in the future years on 432. My name is Al Tyler, and this is the W0 Delta Romeo Lima coming to you from Topeka, Kansas. I hope that whoever listens to this will have enjoyed listening to these gentlemen that you have heard. Again, there's many folks that have spent hours pioneering the VHF and UHF regions of the amateur radio frequency allocations. 73, and we'll see you later, I hope. Bye-bye.